Good morning. Ada makes landfall. A record-setting hurricane season continues with Ada slamming Florida, bringing heavy wind and rains. This morning, the latest on the tropics.
Plus, new restrictions as COVID-19 numbers increase across Indiana. State leaders announcing new guidelines set to begin this weekend. Just add what this all means for Delaware County.
And rain returns. Showers are expected throughout the weekend. Will it be a washout? Your weekend forecast in moments. But for now, go ahead and get the coffee ready and open up those eyes. You're waking up with Cardinal weather.
From Ball State Unified Media, you're waking up with Cardinal weather with Tyler, Annie, and Nathan live from the Ball State Weather Center.
Hey there, everybody. TGIF. Thank you so much for being here with us. You're waking up with Cardinal weather. I'm Tyler Brumman.
And I'm Annie Keister. And a chilly morning out there. Really not as bad as I expected for November.
And by the way, we're waking up after a Colts win. Also, the premiere of Grey's Anatomy. I know you were excited about that.
That was a big deal for me last night.
Yeah.
I went to bed shocked, as I'm sure many people did. Woke up thinking about this morning. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go see it.
Yeah, we will not give spoilers. And by the way, this week is Winter Weather Preparedness Week in Indiana.
It really might not feel like it, but I think it's going too soon. And our weather forecasters will be sharing weather tips throughout the show for you this morning. Let's go ahead and take a check-in on that weather. Good morning to Nathan Gidley.
Oh yeah, good morning. It's always a good morning after a Colts win, absolutely,
Yes.
Tyler. So it is a nice morning outside. We had a few showers here off to our north that moved through the area here this morning. That's thanks to a cold front that moved through the area this morning, keeping us dry here for most of the area, but cool as you wake up this morning. 39 here in Muncie, 37 in Kokomo, and 37 as well in Indianapolis. Didn't get quite as cold tonight with those increase in clouds compared to the past couple of nights, so some good news there. Still running warm, especially here compared to this time yesterday. 8 degrees warmer here in Muncie, 12 degrees warmer in Kokomo, and 12 as well out in Lafayette. Now coming up here in the show, we are tracking these rain chances heading into the weekend, as well as some windy conditions on the backside of a weather system set to move through here Saturday night into Sunday, as well as some cool temperatures once again returning next week and continuing throughout the forecast. All those details coming up in my full forecast. Back over to you.
Hey, thank you, Nathan. We're going to go ahead and jump into some of those headlines this morning. Tropical Storm Ada made history yesterday as the 12th named storm to make landfall. Daryl Forges is in Tampa with the latest.
It's the storm that just won't go away. Tropical Storm Ada pummeling Florida's west coast from Fort Myers to Cedar Key as the storm makes landfall for the 4th time since forming more than a week ago, bringing with it torrential rain, tropical storm force wind, and a dangerous storm surge, flooding streets up and down the coast.
Got a little deep there.
On Wednesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expanded the state of emergency to include 13 counties along the western part of the state, as areas in South Florida, including Miami and the Keys, are still reeling from Ada's impact earlier this week.
I didn't think it was going to be quite this bad. There's a lot of water and it's really windy.
Ada made its first landfall in Central America last Tuesday as a Category 4 hurricane, leaving dozens dead and forcing tens of thousands of evacuations before slowly traveling north to Cuba. And Ada is not alone this week, as subtropical storm Theta formed Monday night in the Atlantic, making 2020 officially the most active hurricane season on record. In Tampa, Florida, I'm Daryl Forges.
And we heard Daryl talk about it a little bit there. We want to talk about subtropical storm Theta. It formed in the Atlantic, making 2020 the most active hurricane season on record. With 29 storms so far, the National Hurricane Center predicts Theta will travel east and stay in open water before dissipating. The storm is not likely to make landfall. However, with Ada making landfall, as we mentioned, it breaks the record, being the 12th named storm to make landfall in the U.S. this season. That breaks the previous record of 9, which was set back in 1916.
5 people remain missing after crews rescued more than 30 campers from floodwaters at a North Carolina campground. The water rescues in Alexander County happened during a heavy downpour moving through the area. According to fire officials, multiple boat crews were on the water searching for those still missing. Water was also rising in Burke County with at least 1 mudslide reported.
Tropical storm Ada devastated Central America before making landfall in Florida. Its effects, though, are still being felt. Just look at these images right here. From central Guatemala, the storm devastating the area. Eta struck Guatemala last week, but conditions have not improved. Several areas of the country have dealt with floods, landslides, and river overflows. Thousands of people have lost their homes, and the death count continues to rise.
And across the Pacific, Typhoon Vamco made its first landfall Wednesday night in the Philippines. It hit an area north of the country's capital, Manila, that was devastated by Super Typhoon Goni almost 2 weeks ago. More than 1.6 million people live in the community. 240,000 lost their homes. Typhoon Vamco was equivalent to a Category 2 hurricane and moved offshore yesterday.
Back here now in the States, people living in St. Helens, Oregon are cleaning up after a tornado hit the area. The National Weather Service rated the tornado as an EF0. It did cause some damage. The good news, though, no injuries were reported. While the storm lasted only for a few minutes, residents in the area experienced heavy winds and witnessed flying debris when the storm hit.
And there was just like a big funnel cloud, and then it touched down right here, and then I look over again and this tree just falls down.
The amount of wind, it was crazy, and you could see it because of everything in the air, the tree limbs just flying off of things, and when it grabbed this, you're just, I mean, honest to God, at one point I thought, is my house gonna be picked up?
Indiana breaking records, and not in a good way. Just ahead, the new steps that are being taken to help slow the spread of COVID-19.
Yep, that's just a moment, and that's after a weather tip from weather forecaster Adam Fike and your Weather Now.
With out and about this winter and snows in your forecast, here are a couple things that are a pretty good idea to keep in your car. Ice scraper and or a shovel, first aid kit, jumper cables, blankets, a set of heavier clothes including hats and gloves, a flashlight with some extra batteries, a portable phone charger, sunglasses, a basic toolkit, some snacks and water, but keep the water inside until you're ready to leave so it does not freeze outside in your car, and some travel games to help pass the time if you're going on a trip with friends or family. Blankets, a set of heavier clothes including hats and gloves, a flashlight with some extra batteries, a portable
are some signs if you were to have hypothermia. The biggest one is shivering, but other things can also be into play. Fumbling hands, confusion, you can feel tired, you can feel very drowsy. During some of this time when you actually experience hypothermia, your best bet is to get away from the outdoors and get indoors.
8:08 on your Friday morning. A huge thank you to the magician, Chris Guevara, for that right there. By the way, it's pretty cold out there. We'll talk a little more about national weather coming up here in just a bit. We do have to talk about your coronavirus headlines. New restrictions will be put into place across most of Indiana, marking the end of Stage 5. Starting Sunday, counties in orange on that map right there and red will have new guidelines. Areas in orange, which includes Delaware County, will be limited to groups of no more than 50 people without approval. K through 12 activities in schools will be limited to 25% capacity. Meanwhile, in the red counties, gatherings of more than 25 people will need approval from county health departments. Curbside and drive-through service is preferred at restaurants, and activities at senior living facilities suspended.
We must do all we can to protect our hospital capacity, not only for those who have the COVID, but for the cancer patient and the heart patient and the other Hoosier patients who need care in our hospitals all across the state of Indiana.
State officials say these restrictions will continue for at least a month. Yesterday, ISDH reported more than 6,600 new cases.
At the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, there were hopes that hot summer temperatures could reduce the spread. As we head into cooler temperatures once again, cases are still on the rise. Meredith Wood shares how research says COVID-19 connects to the weather.
As the U.S. braces for the next wave of the pandemic heading into the winter months, new research reveals the relationship between weather and the coronavirus.
Weather is neither a friend nor a foe. The choices you're going to make socially and personally, they will determine your risk.
Dr. Deb Niogi, professor of geosciences at the University of Texas, Austin, led the study and says it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold outside. The spread of COVID-19 depends almost entirely on human behavior.
It essentially brings a message of hope that just because we are going to get into a colder season does not mean it is going to be much more messier.
The data shows that individual actions like taking trips and spending time away from home were the top reasons for COVID-19 growth. And temperature and climate really did not have an influence when compared to other factors. Dr. Niogi says right now personal choices and social behaviors are the best ways to lower risks of exposure to the virus.
I will look at what's data saying, what science is saying, and I will hope for a dash of good luck.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
Interesting stuff there, of course, stuff that we'll want to keep in mind throughout these winter months. Meanwhile, news on another potential coronavirus vaccine this morning. New information could be coming by the end of the month. Moderna announced it finished collecting data for the first analysis of its vaccine. That data will be sent to an independent panel of experts. Once they figure out how effective the vaccine may be, they will release the results. Moderna thinks the board will share the data before the end of the month. Pfizer released its results earlier this week, saying its vaccine is more than 90% effective.
And as Moderna collects information about the efficiency of their vaccine, drug makers Pfizer and BioNTech are preparing to make their vaccine available to some in just a few weeks. This vaccine is currently in advanced trials with millions of doses already made. If the vaccine receives regulatory approval, those doses will begin to be distributed around the world. However, this vaccine uses messenger RNA, a new technology which makes storage and transportation a little difficult. It must be stored at minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit to remain effective. This brings challenges for countries that don't have the infrastructure to transport the vaccine at sub-zero temperatures. Logistics firms like UPS and FedEx started planning for this months ago.
We have about 9,000 healthcare specialists around the globe, about 140 certified warehouses around the globe, about another 100 terminals that are certified for healthcare. We also had to make some specific investments in minus 80 degrees storage points and containers to be able to distribute. So those are all things that we had to do.
Pfizer has said they expect to produce 50 million vaccine doses in 2020 and 1.3 billion doses in 2021. It has not yet been determined how these doses will be distributed.
And as the world continues to wait for a COVID vaccine, some industries are adapting. Germany's largest airline, Lufthansa, has taken yet another step towards revitalizing air travel. The airline has just completed its first test flight, where all passengers needed a COVID-19 test to board the plane. Passengers took a rapid antigen test. The test does not detect the COVID-19 pathogen. Instead, though, it detects proteins associated with it. The airline says passengers get their test results within a half hour to an hour. Only passengers with a negative result are allowed to board. Lufthansa says people who don't want to be tested will be transferred to other flights. At 8:14 now, you know, it's really cold out there. We're wondering, of course, if that weather is prevalent really across much of the country. He was inside, outside. Actually, he was outside first, then inside. And good news is he's inside with us, right?
Other good news, no snow yet, but we are going to go ahead and take a check at that national forecast with Chris Cavera. Once again, good morning.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, it has been such a long time since we've been back on this green screen. So happy to be back, but man, look at these temperatures across the country. All the way 30s, Denver, all the way up to Billings, and up to the northeast, sitting at 46 degrees, but there is going to be a good change up for the northeast. Now, looking at today's highs right now, 56 in Denver, 46 in Kansas City, over here 49 in Cincinnati. Well, that's not over here, but that's just to the state, just to the east of us in Ohio, but we're still going to be staying relatively comfortable for this time of the year. Now, as we're looking at national radar, tomorrow's highs, we're going to get there in a second. 60 degrees here in Kansas City, 43 in Denver, 39 in Billings, so it's definitely still going to stay a little bit more cooler out to the northeast. As northwest, cannot talk this morning, just getting so excited to be here. We're looking at radar right now. You can see all the way out. Most clear for most of central of the United States, but looking out to the northwest, we're seeing a lot of that snow. But before we get to that, looking all the way over here to the east coast, Tropical Storm Eta still kind of hanging around the east coast, still going to bring some of that flooding issues as well. Over here, just to the north of us in Michigan, having some rainfall, even a little bit of snow as well. Heading all the way out to the northwest, we're seeing a lot of the winter storm area as well as snow, as well as rain. So looking at warnings as well as watches. Starting off here, just a slew of winter storm warnings, watches, high wind warnings. It is just going to be pounding the northwest. Going over here to the Great Plains, Oklahoma, under a freeze warning, so kind of a little interesting, but a little bit more calmer than what the northwest is getting. Heading all the way out to the east, we're still seeing flood warnings because of Tropical Storm Eta, as well as even a dense fog advisory as well. This is all going to be going on. Looking here at Precision Cast, we're definitely going to be still staying with snowy conditions as well, going all the way up to rainy conditions as well. Looking at the jet stream, we're definitely staying, as well as with cool temperatures and getting pretty much staying cold. Kind of just stumbling upon my words throughout today. It's just very happy to be back. It's been
and we're glad to have you back, Chris. But also glad, it is cold, and normally you'd hear me complaining about that. But with Winter Weather Preparedness Week on my mind, I can't complain. And we're really no outlier right now with the Midwest. It seemed like pretty steady temperatures all across.
Yeah, and trust me, by the way, you're not stumbling as much as you think, but at least we're not stumbling outside, really haven't had to deal with much ice or snow here in East Central Indiana, but I know other parts of the country, they're not as lucky as us.
No, they're not, so we take that for granted for right now as we have it.
All right, we'll hear more from Chris a little bit later, but for now, in just a moment, we've got another winter weather preparedness tip for you.
Yeah, we can't wait for it. That's after a message from Mitt. Stay with us.
Riding the bus is an easy thing to do. Last year, we carried 60,000 riders from the Ball State area. 50,000 of those were students. Anywhere you want to go, Mitts will take you there.
As temperatures go down, it's time to layer up. Here's what the National Weather Service recommends. When the air gets chilly, it's best to wear long pants, a shirt, a jacket, and warm shoes. And once highs fall below freezing, add a winter coat, warm hat, gloves, and replace the warm shoes with waterproof boots. When extreme cold arrives, throw on another layer of pants, another shirt, and have a face mask. You might look like a marshmallow, but at least you'll be warm.
Welcome back. It's 8:19 on your Friday morning. Some fashion tips from forecaster Natasha Leland this morning. Also something to keep in mind as it gets colder out there. And this morning in your health news, the Food and Drug Administration believes a mobile app can help people with nightmares. The federal agency has approved the Nightwear system as a form of treatment for PTSD patients. Available only on Apple Watches, it allows doctors to monitor patients who suffer from traumatic nightmares. Those nightmares have been linked with higher rates of suicide. When it recognizes the patient is having a nightmare, it vibrates. This will gently wake that person up. Nightwear can only be downloaded with a prescription. Moving on here this morning, I saw Natasha, aside from the fashion tips, snuck in some pictures of snow.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
By the way, that story that you just had right there was making me yawn. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was coming back on camera. But you know what? Nathan Gidley will wake us all back up. He's got a check of the local weather. Nathan, are we going to be needing to bundle up like Natasha suggested?
Yeah, we'll bring the energy over here, Tyler. Make sure you bundle up for sure. And it's a cold morning across the area, but we're still seeing a few of these clouds that are just working their way through as a result of a cold front that moved through here earlier this morning. You can see that here on the map as the cold front has now moved off to our east. It brought a few showers here off to the north. Still seeing a few lingering clouds though, but those clouds are going to quickly decrease throughout the day today as high pressure moves into the area, leading to a gorgeous end to your work week. Current temperatures right now, 39 in Muncie, 40 up in South Bend, 37 in Indianapolis, and 40 as well in Lafayette. A cool 25, though, out there in Peoria. That's some of that cooler air on the way in here today. So highs are not going to rise all that much today as a result of that cold front moving through, only up to 45 degrees. Clouds on the decrease today as high pressure moves in, winds out the northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Overnight tonight, clouds start to increase as another weather system starts to move through. That's going to impact us on Saturday, but still a very cold night. Areas of frost expected with that low of 29 degrees, so a very cool night expected up ahead. Tomorrow, though, we got some changes move in as the weather system starts to move in from our south. Starting out just a few clouds here in the morning, but by noon start to cloud up considerably. Gusty winds out of the southeast there, 10 to 15 miles per hour, with some rain chances becoming expected by the evening hours. Continuing into the overnight hours tomorrow night as well. Rain becomes likely at that point. Low of 44. Check out those wind gusts, though, 20 to 30 miles per hour. So a very strong weather system working its way through. Let's break all this down right now on Precision Cast. Nice and clear for the rest of your day today. Heading into tomorrow, though, we're going to see these clouds start to increase here. Just a few clouds by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. Here come the clouds, and here come the rain chances here. Right around the evening commute, some line of rain showers coming on through. Rain's going to continue on and off at times. Could be some pockets of heavier rain by the evening hours tomorrow there. And then by the time we get to Sunday, that rain starts to clear, but gusty winds are going to move in behind the cold front here. Check this out as we track out the winds as well as the rain here. Amounts of rainfall generally around half an inch across the area. Could see some pockets of heavier rain in locations, but let's track out those wind gusts. Check this out. By the time we get to the end of the day Saturday, start to see these winds start to increase around 30 miles per hour. Overnight as the cold front moves through, wow, check out these winds. Could be looking at 40 plus mile per hour gusts overnight Saturday night into Sunday, and those gusty winds continue all throughout the day here on Sunday. Still seeing wind gusts over 30 miles per hour, close to 35 miles per hour for some locations all throughout the day there on Sunday. So a very windy end to your weekend is expected. Now we're getting closer. I know Ryan Crump showed this last week, and we are counting down the days till Thanksgiving. 13 days. I'm really excited for it. Less than 2 weeks now, so these cooler conditions, really starting to think about Thanksgiving coming up here pretty soon. In the mid-7-day forecast here, great day here today with those cooler temperatures. There comes the rain on Saturday. Windy conditions and falling temperatures for your Sunday. Going to be a cool end to your weekend and a cool next week as well. Temperatures staying in the 40s, rising back into the 50s by later in the week.
Nathan, I'm seeing the temperatures, and I'm seeing the clouds, and then I'm seeing rain.
A little bit of everything.
No way.
A great fall-like forecast, especially considering all the summer-like weather we experienced this past week.
And if you're someone who enjoys summer-like weather, it is a weekend to stay inside. Thank you so much, Nathan. And in just a moment, a recap of this week's headlines in your Cardinal Weather News Minute.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a look back at this week in politics and a well-known store in Muncie closing its doors. Don't go anywhere.
From the heart of Ball State to the heart of your community, NewsLink Indiana brings you local and state news you care about. We pride ourselves with giving you the most reliable news coverage, stories that affect you, linking you to the community each night on air and online. NewsLink Indiana, bringing news to the heart of your community.
Welcome back. Time to take a look at some of the top stories from this week in your Cardinal Weather News Minute. President-elect Joe Biden is preparing to take office in January. This week, Biden took time to name his COVID-19 advisory board and talked about the Affordable Care Act. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump spent most of his week on Twitter claiming voter fraud. Trump has yet to concede the election. Mayor Dan Ridenour is asking people to stay calm after incidents on Ball State's campus that are believed to be politically motivated. Cell phone video appeared to show several people driving around displaying political flags and harassing people. The mayor says that kind of aggressive behavior won't be tolerated. BSU President Jeffrey Murn sent out an email announcing increased patrols from University Police until further notice. Finally, a longtime Muncie staple is closing its doors after over 100 years in business. Paisl's Jewelry will close, the company announcing the news on its Facebook page. The closure comes as a result of owner Penny Prow's retirement. It's unknown when the store will close, but they're expecting to stay open until next year. And that's your Cardinal Weather News Minute here on this Friday morning.
Hey, good morning. This is Nathan Gidley here, and I'm here to let you know what to do if you have to go out in a winter storm. Make sure you bundle up, have multiple layers with you, including a blanket in your vehicle. Make sure your car is also gassed up if you have to go out on the road, and make sure you have that emergency kit handy with you as well. And what are the different types of winter weather alerts here? Let's take a look. A winter weather advisory is when wintry weather is expected. Make sure you exercise caution in these situations. A winter storm watch is typically issued a few days in advance of a winter storm where snow, sleet, or ice is possible. Make sure you start preparing during this time. A winter storm warning is the most serious level of winter weather alert where snow, sleet, or ice is expected to be quite hazardous. We want you to take action when a winter storm warning is issued. From all of us here at Cardinal Weather, we want you to stay safe here this winter season.
Absolutely, Nathan. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead now and take a look at breaking down the science. We're talking about winter weather. Good morning, Morgan Taylor.
Good morning, everyone. On this segment of Breaking Down the Science, I will be going into some more things to prepare for this upcoming winter season. Now, it's important to stay informed and prepared for when winter weather strikes. So that means knowing the difference between a winter storm watch and a warning. A watch would be that winter storm conditions are favorable over the next 36 to 48 hours. So to stay alert, be prepared, and stay informed about the upcoming weather conditions. A warning would be that winter weather has either begun or will begin over the next 24 hours, and that means you should take action now and prepare in that moment. And that could look like making sure you have lots of water and food in the house, blankets, a flashlight, and have backup power, any baby supplies if you have children, and just overall have everything you would need in case you get stuck into the house. Now, it's best that you don't leave, but if you are advised to get into your car, make sure you have a lot of gas in that car so your gas doesn't freeze. Make sure you have some of that supplies that would be in your house, in your car, such as water, food, just in case you get stranded on the road. Have a good traction on your car for your tires so you don't slide off the road, as well as good windshield wipers and a snow scraper as well. Now, it's also important to bundle up. You see I've got my winter coat and gloves on this morning to avoid frostbite and hypothermia. Frostbite would be the loss of feeling or color around different parts of the body due to freezing skin or other parts of the body, and then hypothermia would be unusually low body temperature. So it's important to stay warm, stay safe, and happy Friday.
A lot of good stuff to keep in mind this morning.
Absolutely. Nathan, one final check of that weather. Is it going to be cold?
I'm officially hyped for winter now here this morning. No snow in the forecast, but we do have a weather system moving through this weekend, bringing some rain chances on Saturday, as well as falling temperatures and windy conditions on Sunday. Dry out back once again next week with temperatures warming toward the end of the forecast.
All right. Hey, our last hurrah is next Friday. Have a good weekend, everyone.